It is the very best day to just show up. Hi, everyone. Yvonne Heath here, nurse turned author, speaker, and change maker, and your host. Welcome to Navigating Grief with Heart and Humor, where we talk about, plan, and prepare for grief, transitions, end of life, all the messiness in between, long before it arrives, and diffuse the fear so we can live fully now. Or at least that is what we aspire to do. Most often, we have been in the trenches of the messiness of life, and we realized how ill prepared we were. We cannot anticipate every single event, every glitch, everything that's around the corner. What we can do is accept that life is unpredictable, prepare for anything. Change is the only constant. We can talk about, plan, and prepare for life, end of life, transitions that we know are coming, so that we can eliminate the excessive suffering we create by avoiding. And that is what I aspire to do as a voice. It takes many voices to create social change. I consider myself a proactive living consultant, being proactive, not putting our heads in the sand and crossing our fingers and hoping everything goes fine. No, we're going to face things head on and say, okay, these are the things we know are coming. We also know we'll create this path, and there's going to be potholes, U-turns, a left turn when we thought we were going right. We had our signal on to go right, and there you go. So this is about learning together, supporting one another, bringing heart and humor, not shame, not, oh, you should have done it differently. You knew this was going to happen. We can all sit together with it and say, yeah, I was in denial. I pretended everything was fine when it wasn't. I didn't ask for help when I needed it. And we have chosen to love each other through it, acknowledge and allow those hard feelings, and do it differently, starting right in this very moment. So let's get started. I want to continue on with this great story that I started to share last week. I'm going to take a few moments to just land here, take a few deep breaths, a couple deep breaths, so I can forget about all the other noise, everything else that is going on in my life, and just be present. My intention is to share what needs to be shared, what needs to be heard, and I invite you to take a moment to just land here, be present, and set your intention. What do you need most today? So feel free to do whatever ritual helps you to land, to be present. And I'm going to do this now for myself. Take 2 short, deep breaths. I've started to do this for myself, not only before every episode, but before every blog, every keynote presentation, every time that I am sharing a message, because I know, I know that when we quiet ourselves, we have so much wisdom, like we need to learn from one another. And yet there's so much wisdom we have internally from all the experience we've had throughout our lives. And I want to tap into that as I continue to learn from others. And I know that everything that I've learned, and it's been extraordinary, and I accept that I will never have it all straight, and I will never, ever stop learning. And yet I know it's all in there, whatever people have shared with me, their wisdom. And so I want to tap into that. And so that is why I'm very intentional about doing this. So I also realize that when I talk about heart and humor, I also want to start sharing a little fun fact with you each week, because no matter how serious our conversation is, even if it's about grief and hardship and sadness, we can bring joy and take a little grief break in between it all. So my fun fact for today is my fun shirt. This is a shirt that my husband Jordy bought for me when I was pregnant for our twins, Jane and Tanner. Yep, 17, 18 years ago. and and of course I only wore it for a few months because it had this great big pouch on it. And wow, my belly looked like the nose of an airplane. I'll tell you, when you have two people in there, whoo. So this shirt was huge and I couldn't throw it away. And then one day I decided, you know what, I'm going to have it taken in so that I can continue to wear it. And thank goodness my stomach isn't, no, or abdomen isn't like the nose of an airplane anymore. But I can wear this fun shirt and just remember that incredible time in my life. So there's my fun fact for today. Okay, let's get started. Let's continue this conversation that I shared last week about Joe. Joe, I'll just recap briefly, a friend of my mom's. He hadn't seen her for years. And Joe went into the emergency room with a little back pain, not a little back pain. He had a lot of back pain. And from that, the trajectory of his life changed entirely, absolutely not expected for him, not anticipated. And of course, with it all, a whirlwind of emotions, fear, uncertainty, sadness, etc. Because from that moment, Joe was diagnosed. He had cancer in his bones and his spine. He is now, as we speak, as I'm sharing this, bedridden and waiting to be placed in a nursing home. This was a man who was driving, completely independent, had his own apartment, and also had never created his village, not a circle of neighbors or friends or anything, and was estranged from his family. Wow. So when my mother got the call and Joe had asked her just to bring his computer to the hospital, it's sort of just this, the activity from there led to my husband Jordy and I helping Joe to dismantle his apartment, sell his belongings, sell his car, help to create his end of life plan. And I had my aha moment, and this is what I want to share today, because so often we are terrified, right, to talk to someone about their end of life plan. Nobody wants to think of this. Well, I do, but most people, most people are terrified when they hear this. So I came up with it, drum roll please. I came up with, let's do your role plan, your rest of life plan, however long that may be. And it wasn't about denying the fact that Joe is terminal. He will not be cured. This cancer will not be cured. He is not, he knows that he will not be walking out of this hospital. Literally, he will not be walking again. We don't know how long Joe's going to live. And I'm sure, I don't know, have you experienced, you're sitting at the bedside, loving your loved one and being so good and saying goodbye, and weeks later, they're still living, not living a life they would choose to love or choose to live. They have a strong heart. So their bodies, their physical bodies are still living. And so we don't know how long. Sometimes we can have a general idea with certain diagnosis. There is the norm. However, there's often times, and we can't even explain why someone lives much longer than anticipated. So we are talking to Joe about his rest of life plan. And it's saying, okay, Joe, here we are. You're in the hospital. First and foremost, we are here to support you, love you along the way, and we want your priority to be being as mentally, physically, and emotionally well as you can possibly be, having the best rest of your life that you possibly can. And it just was such a change in the conversation. We also talked about, and with that, Joe, we're going to talk about your end of life plan. Let's get all that stuff straightened out. So we're talking about that kind of laughing. Joe's just like, I want to be cremated. Don't use, I don't want my ashes spread anywhere. Just leave them there and that's it. Okay, Joe, well, perhaps we should have this written down, or let's do a video so that, he does have a brother he hadn't seen in 10 years. He is going to be taking care of these things. He saw him once. He's seen him once since then. But he needs to know this. I don't want him to just take my word for it. So you see him going to video. Let's just make things as easy as possible. When I talk to his brother, I'll say, I talk about the elephant in the room. This is what Joe's wishes are. This is what Joe's wishes are for the time when he dies. This is what he wishes. And so to have that conversation and to go back to saying, let's make the rest of your life as good as it can be for you. What is important to you? And I laughed. Joe said, well, I've recorded lots of music. I'd like to hear that. I would like to hear that over and over and over when I'm dying and when I'm in the hospital, or when I'm in the hospital, when I'm dying. I said, Joe, you've got it. So I have the little flash drive, and I'm bringing that to Joe, and I'm going to put a big note. This is what Joe wants to hear over and over. Should Joe become no longer responsive, or we know he is dying imminently, put those headsets on, and that's what Joe wants to hear. Isn't that wonderful? So you see, that is something that was very meaningful for Joe. And then he talked about, well, I really want to have this pizza loaded with mushrooms, double cheese, and all of these things, because he has diabetes, and he knows that there's certain things he shouldn't eat. And at this point, he's kind of saying, you know what? I'm going to eat my favorite foods. And the other day I brought him jelly beans because that's what he wanted. These little things mean a lot. And we are over here taking care of dismantling this apartment that it's incredible. It's a small apartment, and there's so many gadgets and gadgets and plugins and lamps, and he collected lava lamps. There are many, many lava lamps. It is incredible. We're going to help him to sell his things, his vehicle. So many little things to do. And I'm learning so many big lessons along the way. And here are just 3 things that I'd like to share. And my mom, we're both learning these lessons, or, it's kind of reminding us. So number 1, when you are supporting someone else, whether they're facing end of life, mental health issues, divorce, whatever it may be, along the way, we must keep in mind that our values are not their values, and their values are not our values. And of course, without judgment, we are human. So if you feel a little judgy, just, keep it to yourself, talk to another friend about it, but perhaps not that person, because when we are supporting this person, it's hard. We go right to what would be important to us. Oh, connecting with our estranged family, forgiving, asking for forgiveness, making amends, all of those things, I believe would be so critical to me and to my mom as we're having that conversation. That is not Joe's goal. That is not what he wants. He does not want to reconcile. He does not want to reach out to his children. And, here's the thing. We don't know their story. We don't know their past. We don't know why. And one of the things I do believe is that sometimes the past is so painful for people. There's so much unresolved grief and sadness and regret and shame, etc. They just can't go there. They just can't. Perhaps there are mental health issues, diagnosis, we don't know. If someone is on a spectrum, I don't know. And I'm just talking here, perhaps someone who has autism, they don't have that same connection, right? That same need to have a connection. Maybe there's something, we all have different wiring. There's no judgment in that. So along this journey, it has been very important for me and for all of us to really have those heart-to-heart conversations about that person's values, needs, goals of care for the rest of their life. So at this point, Joe, he is, maybe if he had, if he had more time in his life, in his independent life, perhaps he would have built those bridges, mended those fences. He knows he doesn't, he is ill now, and perhaps he doesn't want to reach out because he does. Oh yeah, sure, you're going to reach out now that you're ill or dying. Whatever his reason, it doesn't matter. It is up to us to respect and acknowledge and allow his journey and support him in the way that he chooses. Easier said than done? Yeah, it is. It is. I have to stop myself sometimes. Are you sure you don't want to reach out? No. Joe knows. Joe knows that we will help him in any way we can. We will help him. We said, okay, Joe, here's the elephant in the room. We'll help you reach out to people if you choose, if you'd like. No, thank you. Okay. The second thing, and again, these are just tremendously huge life lessons for all of us. So you see in this, and I'm going to share this with Joe. As much as he is so grateful we are supporting him, I'm going to let Joe know, you're teaching us a lot as well. Because in this, and we've all been in the situations while you're in the situation and even after. Oh, I should have done more. I should have said this. I should have done that, right? We're this should have society. It's like we have to feel guilty. We welcome that feeling. And I invite you to change. What can you do to change that now? I find myself doing that when I go visit and I do something for Joe, or I go to the apartment. As I'm driving away, that voice is in my head immediately. Oh, geez, I should have told Joe this. I should have, offered to, I don't know, help him move in the bed. I should have done this. And I stop myself and say, I just showed up for Joe today. I did what I could at the apartment, and I feel really good about that. The end. If there are things that we really say, I wish I would have, yes, of course. Keep in mind, there will always be something more we could have done. Of course, we can't do it all, especially we can't do it by ourselves. My goodness, get that village. Ask for help in these situations, whether the help is mental, physical, emotional, spiritual support, whatever it may be. In these hard transitions, there will always be more you can do. Don't should have. Oh, I should. I wish I would. Say yes, and focus on all the things you did. Focus on all the things you did. Even if that person is saying, oh, I wish I would have done this, this, and this. Yeah, I wish I could do it all. I've done what I can here, and I feel good about it. And the third thing is, even as you're thinking of these things, I cannot reiterate enough. I cannot express enough how important this is. And we hear it. I need to really sink in. When you're thinking of the should haves, And when you are always, oh, I should do something bigger, grand, just show up. Just showing up makes the difference. Just showing up for 5 minutes, squeezing someone's hand, saying, remember, you are not alone. Bringing them jelly beans. These are, I can name all the things that I know have meant so much to Joe in this journey that we are on together that took less than 5 minutes. And I'm doing this on the top of my head, so I've put myself in the hot seat. How many things? I'll name a few things. Calling to check in. Hey, Joe, just checking in. How are things today? They're not great. Oh, I'm sorry, you're having a lot of pain. Okay. Make sure you ask Joe, let the nurse know you're in pain. I'm going to check on you tomorrow. Remember, you're not alone. And I hear it in his voice. Thank you so much. 2, stopping by to see Joe. We did the other day. We were there for maybe 10 minutes. So 10 minutes because he didn't feel well. And so we didn't stay long. But Joe really appreciated that we just showed up and spent that time with him. 3, when I brought the jelly beans, I said, Joe, I'm going to stop by today. Is there something that I can bring you that you would just love right now? And he said, yeah, I would love some jelly beans. So you got it, Joe. Cost me $2.50. The look on his face, priceless. Number 3, or look, my counting isn't great. Number 4, when I went into Joe's room, and it's funny because he's read my book so many times, it's on his night table. And so he shared it with he was in a room with 3 other people, and he shared my book, Love Your Life to Death, with them. And so the lady said, I'd really love to buy your book. So I brought one in the next day and I signed it for this lady. And Joe said, oh, can you believe I have a famous author helping me? And it's like, oh, Joe, don't be ridiculous. Of course you do. And had a little laugh. In that interaction, I said, Joe, look what you've done. Thank you so much. Look what you're doing for me. So I said, here you are. It's not just me helping you. I helped him to see that he has purpose and he is doing things for us as well. And again, I will share with him today, like that this opportunity and privilege to support you in this. We are learning so much. Thank you, Joe. And thank you for sharing my book. Thank you. Because one of the things when people lose their independence is also, it's like, what am I doing here? I have no purpose. And so to share with him that his journey right now has meaning and purpose, and he's helping us to learn what we need to learn and to grow, it's priceless. So those little tidbits, as you're supporting others, remember their values are their values, yours are yours. There's always more to do. Just appreciate yourself for being willing to be a part of their journey, and what you've done needs to be enough for you, regardless of what anyone else is saying. And of course, third is the little things that matter, the things just showing up, helping someone to understand that whatever in supporting them, in you being able to just show up for them, you are also learning so much. Whew. It's an incredible journey. And I'm so delighted to share it with you because, again, no matter what situation you are facing, it's all a parallel, right? In supporting others, it's challenging. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to say. And so remember that I am here for you. I will just show up for you. You are not alone. We can have these great conversations every week. Every single week right here. It's extraordinary. And you can always reach out at loveyourlifetodeath.com. I am just so honored and privileged to be able to do this for you, with you, because we are learning together. My book, Love Your Life to Death, audiobook, ebook, paperback, the I Just Showed Up bracelet, how remind yourself, yes, I just showed up. That means a lot. I know that means a lot. So just remember that any time you just show up for others, you are making a difference. Be willing to get it wrong. Be willing to make mistakes. Feed your own soul throughout, and just know that when you show up with love and gratitude, you can make all the difference no matter what someone is going through. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for just showing up today. Thank you for sharing, allowing me to share this journey with you. It is just such a privilege and such an honor. And remember, my call to action is always, if you want to be able to just show up for others and just show up for yourself and remove the excessive suffering, eliminate the excessive suffering we create by avoiding. Plan your life, plan your death, and then just love your life to death. And always bring your own tambourine to the party. Thank you so much. As the story unfolds, I will be sharing and we will continue to learn together. Namaste, my beautiful friends. Bye for now. I'll see you in the next episode.